What up? What's going on, people? It's your boy Zach, and we're back at it again with another, what is it? Analysis paralysis. So today we're going to be analyzing Fujimura versus Justin Wong. If you guys have been living under a rock, I know some of you guys have been doing that. They played against each other in winners top 8 side of Capcom Cup, which took place a couple weeks ago. So yeah, we're going to be reviewing that, all right? And you know, as usual, I come through with a notebook. No good, handy notebook. So we'll be doing our justice with that. All right. So how you guys doing today? Oh, Armali, thank you so much. It's 5 months of being loyal to the soil to your boys. Don't mind me if I get a little sensitive over here. I just appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. So, let's see. Bang. All right. So you guys all set, nice and comfy? I'm gonna break it down for you guys right now, all right? Iron Feather, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing all right. I appreciate you guys so much. Let me give some random shout outs to people in here. Chizopath, Good War Evil, Grump, Mugetsu, what's going on, Guana, of course. Greg, my man, what's up, what's up? So guys, we are going to be discussing this matchup. All right, you guys voted for it a couple weeks ago after we reviewed, what was the first match we reviewed? It was Fujimura versus Gachikan? No, actually it wasn't. It was Gachikan versus, I don't even remember, goddamn. It's been that while. Let's see. Who was it that I reviewed a couple weeks ago? Right before the holidays. It was Bonchan versus Gachikan. That's who it was. Yeah, okay, cool. So this match that we're reviewing right now was the second highest voted match on the poll, so I figured we'll go along with this. And because the CPT circuit is over until March, so I figured a lot of the matches that I can analyze going forward would come from Capcom Cup, since that was like the grand spectacle of the year, right? And that's pretty much the most recent high-level play that we're going to see, right? So that's why I chose this. I'm probably going to continue to stick to Capcom Cup matches over the course of the next couple weeks. So, yeah. So, all right, guys. So let's get started. Let's start with Menat, all right? So previously when I reviewed Sako versus, I believe it was Tokido, I had, I was breaking down Menat like I usually do, right? So if you want like a more in-depth explanation of Menat, I showcase a lot of stuff on that video. That video's on my YouTube channel. But I'm still going to give like a little brief synopsis of the character. So as far as Menat, right? Menat is a very interesting character because I like to say she is anti-Street Fighter V in a sense, where based off of the design of the character, she can avoid the prime engine, the primary aspects of the engine. So that being priority and crush counters. The reason being is that her hitboxes extend a lot further out from her body because of her normal attacks that carry the orb as an attack, all right? So in the Sako versus Tokido video that I did on my YouTube channel, I have that there's like a brief explanation of her hitboxes and her boxes. I actually demonstrate it. So if you guys, after you watch the stream, you want to go look more into that, it's on my channel. You can check that out. But she's basically anti-Street Fighter V in that regard, where you rarely see Menat get crush countered, right? So the reason is because, her buttons, the hurt boxes stay close to her body, but the hitboxes on her projectile travel, or on her attacks, her normal attacks, they travel with the orb. So as the orb is leaving her body, the distance between Menat and her orb is increasing, which means that there is now this projectile in the way of you basically hitting her, All right. So now when you keep that in mind, we're going to explain, this is going to explain why Fujimura plays the way he does, basically because of this one thing about that character. All right. So she is very challenging to whiff punish because the recovery on her buttons are really good and the hurt boxes don't stay extended for long periods of time. So a lot of times characters with really stubby like normals, they have to commit to movement to punishing her. All right. So just the the idea of using movement is going to be a preemptive decision. Okay. So they're going to preemptively move. So basically Menat, excuse me, she can capitalize on mistakes without really doing much because the presence of her tool set is enough to influence people to take these high risks, right? By jumping and dashing and all sorts of stuff, whiffing buttons, the whole nine, right? And just her presence in a particular spacing can influence people to jump, to dash, to do whatever. Everybody's different, of course, and every character is different. But the characters with more stubbier buttons, they're going to be the ones that have to resort to like disguise by jumping, or they have to resort to dashing to close ground. All right, but those characters typically want to close the ground against her. If you don't have a fireball, they want to close the ground. But it's going to be very hard when it's going to be inconsistent in terms of getting the knockdown because she's going to be so far away from you that your buttons that would grant you the knockdown or the buttons that would grant you the cancel into a knockdown conversion, they're not going to really be as effective because of how far away she'll be. All right. So she's extremely powerful because of that. She has a very strong V trigger 1. She has those projectile limbs that I just spoke about. She has a plethora of anti-air options. So even if you are committing to an aerial approach or you're mixing it up with the dashing approach, as long as she's on her A game, she still can pretty much counter both. She can do the crouching jab and still react to a jumping attack, right? With her crouching fierce or stand roundhouse, both with orb help a lot. And she gets fierce damage off of it, right? So if you're jumping and she's getting 90 damage every time you're jumping in, that adds up over time and that can accumulate very quickly. So people will find themselves having this significant like life disadvantage because they're so eager to close the gap and get in on her. Which is, I don't blame you because she's so dominant at neutral just by design. Okay. She has access to a 3-frame normal, so that's very important for interrupting strings. And on the defensive end, when somebody does get in on her, she has that much more of a chance of getting out of a bad position and turning the tide in her favor. She has the toolset to frustrate her opponents while mitigating her risk because of her toolset, because of the recovery on her normals, and because of the properties of her attacks and how they're like projectiles. She can just infuriate whoever's on the other side of the screen. All right. She has this unique 2 versus 1 situation with the orb recall. So her orb, where she lets it go, she can recall it at any point. So you can turn that defensive situation of recalling it into offense because you can just recall it, and if they block at a certain range, they get pushed into, say, like throw range or something, right? And now they have to guess, are you going to throw or go for pressure? Or if they're trying to close the gap, they're so eager, they don't even pay attention to the fact that the orb is slowly approaching. They get hit, and all of a sudden you can convert it into something, all right, for pretty good damage. All right. So she's a very strong character, especially in season 3.5. She was definitely like top 3. As far as cons, though, she doesn't have access to an invincible attack outside of super. So if you do get in on her, you can make things very, very grim for her. But that's why her neutral is so strong. And they couldn't give her everything, obviously, right? So it's like if she had to get off of me move, then she'd be so overpowered because it's like it's already a hassle to get in on the character. So there has to be some sort of like drawback. And that's what it is. She has a hard time getting characters off of her. So not only that, she has 950 health and 950 stun, so she can die relatively quick compared to other characters in the cast. All right. Her V trigger 1, although it's probably one of the better V triggers in the game, probably like top 5, I'd say top 3 V triggers. It requires a great amount of expertise to take advantage of because of the execution aspect of it. You can activate it and then basically just not even get the chance to use it because you didn't have the execution and the presence of mind of knowing when to release X button versus Y button, release which orb versus that orb, and all sorts of stuff like that. That's why like a character like this is so perfect for Sako, because Sako is the type of player that dedicates his time to flushing out even the minuscule of tools for a character. She another thing that's like I really don't like about her is that she barely has any combos into knockdowns outside of V trigger and bar. So you'll see like at one point during the set where Justin tries to like punish something, but he only gets like a jab, because he's like, damn, I don't really want to use the bar, or I'd rather have the super, to make one for when I want a KO, but I do want the damage. So it's just kind of creates this hesitation because having super against a character with a great V trigger is very strong, because if you're able to KO your opponent before they are able to activate the V trigger, then they never get the chance to activate it, and you can close out the round. So a lot of times you'll see top players kind of hoard their meter against characters with really strong V triggers because they want to KO them. The combo starts right before they get V trigger, but then if they use the right before their opponent gets V trigger, right? But then they have the meter to KO you with super just as you're getting V trigger during the combo, so you never get a chance to activate it. All right, but here it's gonna be difficult for that to be a thing because both characters have 2-bar V triggers, so they're gonna get it a lot faster. And Ibuki, as we're gonna talk about, has one of the better V skills in the game because of how consistent she can apply it throughout different situations in the game. All right, so Menat's goal essentially here is going to be to whittle down her opponent by capitalizing on their overcommitment. And once their opponent is demonstrating that they're tamed and that they're relaxed and they're more static in their behavior, meaning they're sitting still and they're not likely to take big risks, that's when they introduce those heavy attacks like the stand fierce, right? Because she's accumulating gray damage. And on top of that, she's building bar. And if it crush counters, people tend to forget crush counter builds V meter. So that's why Menat also gets the V trigger really fast compared to a lot of characters, because her stand fierce is crush countering at a blazing rate compared to a lot of characters. Not too many characters have a fierce or a roundhouse or any sort of heavy attack that hits at that range and can crush counter. So she's getting a lot off of just throwing that out there. Okay, so let's go to Ibuki. So Ibuki she's been great ever since she's released. She's kind of like Cammy in that sense, where she's just been really strong ever since she's released. Okay, so Ibuki by design is a very mix-up focused character. She doesn't have the normals to keep you out. She's not gonna zone you with her kunais because they're limited. She only has 6 at a time at max, right? But her whole focus is to close the gap, and she wants to leverage her offensive arsenal to basically just melt your life bar, okay? Because she has the walk speed and she has the advantage to make things a nightmare for you if she gets in on you, and especially if you're cornered, okay? So as far as her pros go, she has a great walk speed, all right? So when you have a great walk speed, that means that you're able to move in and out of ranges effectively. So you can initiate and you can engage however you'd like, right? But then you can also evade and escape bad spacings that are not conducive to what you're trying to accomplish when you have good walk speed. So she doesn't have to commit by backdashing or jumping or block stringing to create a space. She can just walk and create it manually with much more efficiency and accuracy because of her walk speed, as opposed to, say, Bison. Bison wants to get into a certain spacing. He's probably going to have to dash or use a block string to put him there, or jump or something like that, right? Okay. She has one of the strongest V triggers in the game. Her V trigger 2 is 2 bars. It offers her so many mix-up options. Even if you block it, it's one of those V triggers like Menats and Urians, where I think of right off the bat where you don't want to block it. All right, blocking is great against certain V triggers, but hers, it's gruesome. Okay. At least in season 3.5, but now it's nerfed in season 4 to where it's -2. But in the set we're gonna watch, she was plus after she did the V trigger activation. Okay, so just watch it with the 3.5 lens in mind. She gets great mix-up potential off of it, great conversions. She can corner carry off of it. You can block it, you can block right and still be in a mix-up afterwards. Like, it's very scary. Okay, and she can get it multiple times because of her V skill. And her V skill is just, I think it's probably the best V skill in the game because offensively and defensively, it can be effective. She can use it defensively. You're going to see Fujimura, he does a defensive V skill because it has evasive properties on the startup where the hurt box shifts backwards. So because of that, a lot of times people will autopilot their block strings because they're just looking for something very specific and they're forgetting that that's a thing. So when they're going through their regular block strings, all of a sudden their button whiffs because of the startup retraction. So they try to hit me, but then I move back and I V skill on top of them. Now the thing is, if you V skill 2, which is the charge, if you hold it, she's only like -2, but she's getting a lot of V skill or a lot of V gauge off of it. So she doesn't care if you block it. All right. When they do the level 1 release, they're definitely just trying to get the offensive knockdown situated, so that way they can dash up and pressure. But when they do the level 2, like the hold V skill, when they charge it all the way, they don't really care if it hits or not. They're just trying to get the V bar. So that's telling you their state of mind. They're like, all right, they really want V trigger right now. So maybe they're trying to shift into a V trigger mindset, or they're not feeling confident or comfortable right now where we stand in the match. Okay. And offensively, she can do the same thing, like where she can pressure you, and then where you try to counter poke, she can just shift back during her block string and whiff punish you, basically. All right. It's basically a wish punish because it's preemptive, but still, you catch my drift, right? She has multiple ways to close the gap at advantage because of EX Kunai. So jump EX Kunai is like the best EX move in the game, in my opinion, because of the fact that it accomplishes multiple things. And this is going to be the main thing you guys are going to watch out for in this set because of the narrative that leads up to it and just the risk reward behind it. It's just such a strong tool. She can throw it out, right? And the reason why it's so strong is because naturally people with great reactions, when they see you jump, they go to anti-air, right? So they're expecting you to jump in this linear path, and then they anti-air you where they're prepared to meet you, right? But because of Ibuki's ability to throw kunai, she throws it early, right? So she halts her trajectory. So whereas I'm expecting to meet her here, she throws it here, and I pressed my button and it whiffs. And now she's whiff punishing me with the EX kunai. Now she gets a conversion. She can dash up and ride her. All right. And that's scary because Rida is one of the few moves in the game, special moves in the game, that's a hit, but that counts as a throw. So because of that, you cannot back roll. So that makes her pressure more consistent where she doesn't have to guess what you're going to do on wake up. Okay. So she gets that. She goes into light punch Rida. She stays on top of you. Thermite, thank you so much. 4 months in a row. I can't believe it. You can't believe it. But you know what I can believe that we can achieve? Let's go, baby. Thank you. 4 months in a row. Being loyal to the soil. Appreciate it, brother, man. Curse Snorlax, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Hope you're enjoying your time here on the stream. So, yeah, so she's just ridiculous. She has mix-ups for days. Her Jump EX Kunai is obnoxious, and she can do it and dash up and be plus. So it's like you block that. That's one of those things where she can basically just circumvent neutral. All right, like you're destroying her on the ground, and she gets bar. And now it's like, oh, I got bar, and she just throws it right. It does have a counter where you can neutral jump it, but the neutral jump doesn't always work because sometimes she'll throw it late, and if she throws it late, you neutral jump on top of the kunai. All right, like you'll hit her, but then you get hit by the kunai, and then you get knocked down. If she doesn't get knocked down, she gets air reset, so she can still kind of dash up and get pressure. Weird things like that. But if you do have the read or the reaction on top of the read, because you got to kind of combine the two, you see them jump, but you know they have bar, then you can just neutral jump. All right, and then you can just jump in on top of her because she'll fall into you, and you get a basic max punish jump in combo. It's pretty good. It's a good counter. So she has access to a 3-frame normal also, same as Menat. So that's really good for those defensive, interrupts. She has access to an invincible DP, which is very important. I think if you have one of those, like you're already like set apart from a majority of the cast, in my opinion, because pressure in this game is so oppressive. So if you have that as an option, I mean, granted, of course, if somebody blocks it, they do get massive amounts of damage. But I mean, it's still a good option to have. Okay, because a DP can make all of the difference between you sitting there and trying to guess somebody's Oki on your knockdown versus you just knowing, oh, they're not going to be blocking or shimmying, so I'm going to just DP. I don't care if it's throw or a button because this is going to be both. All right. Ibuki also has access to a command dash, so that adds variety to her neutral pressure. So I made that video about your offense, about speeding up your offense, how to play fast. And one of the things I talked about was varying your pressure, your strings and stuff like that, using different blocks, block stun, block strings and stuff like that to appear faster. So that's how Ibuki's use the command dash. It's to like invoke discomfort in your opponent to where they feel like they have to contest. And when they feel like they have to interrupt and do things, then they start focusing on things that might not even be real, meaning things that you don't really care about. Like you don't care about using the command dash, but you put it in your opponent's head, so now they're more likely to press a button, which means now they're more likely to unblock. And when somebody's not blocking, what does that mean? They're more likely to get hit, right? Simple. Okay, so as far as her cons, she has 925 health, which is very low. It's like, I think the lowest in the game is 900. That would be Akuma, Kami, Kage, all right? And she has 950 stun. So if you get in on her and you do land a combo, a devastating combo, it will like mean a lot more for you as opposed to her landing, or you landing a combo on 1,000 health character, okay? So she can die a lot quicker. She has very stubby normals. So because she has stubby normals, when she faces characters with better reach or longer reaching pokes, especially cancelable pokes, she is going to struggle a bit. So like against Birdie, for example, or against like a Karen, she can really struggle in neutral. So they're more likely to commit to things in terms of movement, because when you're getting dominated on the ground, with anything in Street Fighter, guys, remember, there's 3 ways to counter something. It's either on startup, on active frames, or on recovery, right? So if she's having a hard time punishing a button, on whiff, maybe because you're not whiffing or because it's safe on block or whatever, then she's going to have to resort to beating it on active frames through priority or on startup by counter hitting it, right? And what you could do also is use movement. So you can jump in on the button. You could jump in on its startup or active frames or recovery frames, right? That is like one of the better ways to consistently punish heavier attacks is jumping. Big movement, yes, but it works. So what you're going to see is that Fujimura is going to jump a lot because why? Well, Menat outranges her easily. So you're going to see that he's going to commit a lot in situations, and that's what's going to help him close the gap, because remember, Ibuki wants to close the gap, correct? Okay. So lastly, and as far as her cons go, her kunais are limited to 6, so she has to be aware of the count of the amount that she has at all times. All right, because sometimes they think they have a kunai and then they go to throw a kunai and then all of a sudden they just whiff. And it has a lot of recovery, so you can whiff punish it. Okay. All right. So you guys follow? You guys are okay? Let's get this started. All right. Cool. All right. So put a little volume up here. Okay. All right. So we see here, start of the match, you guys know how I roll. Every time I do analysis of a match, I always watch what the first sequence is, all right? Because the body language between 2 players will tell you pretty much everything that's going to happen for the rest of that round. As you get more experienced at a fighting game, you'll be able to piece together your experiences and understand different play styles and preferences and how people approach things. But one of the things that is pretty constant in my journey from what I've realized is that how somebody moves is going to dictate like what their state of mind is, like what is their focus, okay? So we'll rewatch this like 2 or 3 times just so that you guys can see it, all right? And then I'm going to explain what's happening. All right, let's go back. Okay, let's go back. All right, so now let's watch this, all right? So you see how they were kind of just shimmying in place, all right? So let me put this on 0.5 speed. All right, so let's watch this. So you see that Fujimura moved forward and Justin's moving backwards, all right? Justin's kind of defending the range, whereas Fujimura is attacking a range, okay? So I'm going to show you guys this. So imagine you had training mode, right? So you see this picture behind me. This is Street Fighter V training mode. Found this on Google. This is the best I could do. But the point is, I just wanted to show you. You see that big red line that's right behind me, right here? Okay? So this big red line, it basically would be the halfway point of the stage. So when you have this line, think of it like tug of war. So if your objective is to get in front of the line, and my objective is to stop you from getting in front of the line, this is a really accurate way of depicting who's winning. All right, even if no damage has occurred yet. All right, so we're gonna watch this with that in mind, and I want you guys to see, based off of the movement, we talked about Menat wants to keep you away and frustrate you, and Ibuki's trying to get in, right? So this is gonna be like one of those intangible victories that I've spoke about on a previous Mastery Monday, where she's winning off of movement. All right, just because of this. Simple walk forward to take the ground, all right? But now it's showing intentions too, where Fujimura is the aggressor and Justin is obviously being very defensive, okay? And you see that jump. So that jump is telling you right off the bat, Fujimura is going to jump. That's going to be his main mind game. The fact that he jumped and he hasn't even seen a button yet, it's already telling you. That's a huge indicator of what his state of mind is going into the set. Justin hasn't done anything. You see this? Clearly hasn't done anything. Nothing at all. All right? So round one opening, tries to jump, okay? And the V skill, as you've seen there, was used kind of defensively, or offensively rather, because he dashed up to take the chat. I read the chat and said that. He dashed up to take the space, and then he's using the evasion of the V skill, all right, to basically counter the jab. But even if Menat blocks it, like we talked about, she doesn't really have much conversions. She has actually no conversions unless she has V trigger or bar, especially at that range. So even if she blocks V skill 1, it doesn't really mean much, especially if he spaces it correctly. So he's getting V bar, and he's totally fine with that. All right, so these kunais, they're just kind of there to just distract Menat. They don't really do much damage, and he's actually probably better off keeping it. But it's just to see if he can get Justin to be focused on the kunais, right? So that way he can jump in. You see, so that's like I was telling you guys before about, like, you know, fake moves where somebody does something, but that move is not really the real move. There's something behind it. So you can kind of look at kunai as a fake move where you see, like, he's just doing this so that Justin's focus can be on the kunai, right? And that's why he jumped in. Especially when you see him do it twice, right? He does it twice here, but you notice that when he does it the second series of kunais, he only throws one kunai. He doesn't throw two kunais. He throws one, because then he already set up in Justin's mind that I'm going to throw two. That's why he jumps. Right? One, boom, and he jumps immediately. See? So this is his mind game. So you can basically, if you played Fujimura right now, you could be like, all right, so if your main mind game is jumping, I know that whatever fake moves you have are there to just masquerade your jump. It doesn't matter what it is. He could backdash, dash forward, he could whiff a fierce, he can whiff crouching strong. You just know that somewhere that jumping is coming, okay? So you see, like, something like a sweep, Menat wasn't really getting much damage off of that. See, like, look at this damage is insignificant. If he gets the knockdown, the risk reward is totally skewed in his favor. So he doesn't mind it. All right. So see, Justin's like being very cautious with using that fierce because he sees that Fujimura has this active state going on, right? So he's like, I don't really have a feel for you right now, but, you know, So that's one of the ways that you can counter that recall is if you crouch at that range, because if you look at how the travel path of this, it would clearly just go like this. But the closer you are to Menat when she recalls it, the closer the orb is going to hit you towards the ground. So it'll be harder for you to crouch underneath it. But at this range, at that zone 3 range, it will just go right over you. So he does a light command dash on the same side because he knows Justin is smart enough to know that the typical Ibuki's double cross up, right? And that way he could stay in the corner. So he basically stayed same side. So that right there was to beat delay tech. All right. Which makes sense because Justin is headed towards the corner. If he gets thrown, he knows he's in the corner. He knows that's where Ibuki wants to be. So in that situation, he's thinking, all right, I know what you want. I'm going to delay tech, all right? Because based off of how you've been flowing, you haven't really been hitting me with wide frame traps, but this was the first wide frame trap, and it was right on the money. So I don't know if that was a mistake. I think that was a mistake. It might have been nerves because usually Menat players will, they'll buffer or they'll do like a button canceled into V-trigger. So I'm pretty sure that was a mistake on Justin's part. But so yeah, the slide like this right here, what Fujimura could have done, he could have blocked it and EX DP'd immediately. That way he could have avoided that orb that got released. If you try to punish this with a button, the orb will hit you. Right, so that's what's dangerous about that situation. If you're a character that doesn't have access to an invincible attack, and you try to punish things that you usually could punish, Menat can end up making you look a fool, like a fool, if you don't have a super or anything like that available. All right. All right. So I think he was trying to. I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to catch the next Fierce, possibly, because that was a reversal. So he committed to it. He didn't react. He just did it on block, and that's not a punish. And I know Fujimura knows that. So I think he was anticipating Justin was going to do another Fierce. And that's the dangers of that V trigger, where she can just release it at any point and then convert. Nice. Also, that was really tricky. So he jumped and let go of the orbs. I didn't even realize that. Wow. Okay, so round 2. So the first round opened up with both characters walking like towards the corner, right? So Fujimura's moving forward, Justin's moving backwards, and Fujimura jumps. Okay. Now, usually when a player opens up a round and your opponent shows one playstyle, the next round they're going to try to counter said playstyle. So, for example, Justin sees that Fujimura jumped, right? And Fujimura seeing that Justin was waiting. So, Fujimura's probably going to do something aggressive right now. What is he going to do? Let's watch. He does V-skill. So he does walk up V-skill. So, at any point, Menat has the reach to actually hit Ibuki out of V-skill, unlike most characters, where she can just throw buttons out and she can counter hit it, right? But Fujimura was so certain because of what happened round 1 that he was like certain that Justin was going to be defensive, and so he's going to take advantage, seize the ground, close the gap, and put the V-skill on top of him. All right. And now this is the danger of doing laggy attacks like that, especially when Ibuki has access to meter. She can do this. So this is what we were talking about earlier, where she can use it as an anti-footsies tool, an anti-air tool, or like a complacency tool, where if somebody's just sitting there, she can just use it. Like, it covers so many different options in neutral. This is why it's so strong. And if she gets hit, she's in the air. It's not like she's on the ground, right? So even if you hit her, it's like the risk reward. Look what she's getting off of it. She got all of this. All right. And kunai works the same way, where it's not as fast and it's not as advantageous as EX kunai, but it still serves the same purpose, where you see it with punishes, but not. And now it's very difficult to deal with that, because now you don't trust at certain ranges, right? Like that exact range that Fujimura was at. This range right here, you don't trust pressing buttons here, because you know that he hit you with that. All right, so now he can kind of use this range whenever he wants, if Justin falls for it. If he gets influenced and starts to hesitate, he can use this to dash up at any point. So he got thrown on that shimmy because he walked too far forward. So the reason why this works is because you know that Menat is down significantly, and you know that Menat wants to activate, right? So I'm assuming that Fujimura is just expecting something to activate, right? So if she does like stand strong, maybe he jumps over it, right? But he's getting all of this. Doesn't get the punish, but it's okay. But you see the same thing happened again. And he just jumps, because that's how he's trying to activate. And it's a very laggy move, and laggy moves can get jumped in on. Ends the round with a throw. Throws like that are really good against patient players, because you know they're more likely to not want to get shimmied, right? So that was a good punish, but you see Justin had to use the bar to get that type of conversion. See? So right here, even though he didn't successfully jump in on the fierce, right? Because you see how she blocks it in time. This is still really good, because this is the range that Ibuki wants to work for anyways. She wants to be in this range anyway. So it's like, oh, cool. As long as you're blocking this, I don't care. So that neutral jump was potentially Justin expecting EX kunai. But you see right here, that same range that we talked about where he did the jump kunai, he walked back to, but he just dashed. All right. So this is just showing you like the mind games, how he kind of strings them together. And now he gets instant offense from a defensive situation. That was great on Justin's part. Okay, so that dive kick is meant to catch delay tech. So normally if Menat knows you're gonna throw and she does a dive kick like this, like an instant dive kick, it's not gonna be converted into anything. If anything, she's actually gonna be negative, right? But because she has orbs, she can make it safe, even if you block it, or very, very plus to the point where she can combo from it. So that was great defense on Fujimura's part. All right, so this is what we talked about with the 2v1 situation. When that orb recall is out, it's very scary, right? You see Fujimura tries to walk and block, but he gets hit, okay? And at this range, when Justin puts it out, it's so strong because it's like, you know, Fujimura wants to get that offense started so that way he can mount a comeback. And because Justin's a very defensive player, he's trying to turn defense into offense anyways, right? And that's exactly what this move serves. That's why this character is so perfect for him, because he can basically be offensive without really committing to much. Like at this range, There's nothing that she can really do once that recall happens. All right. Either you block it early or you try to avoid it, right? But Fujimura wants that. He wants that pressure because he knows he needs to make the comeback. All right. So round one for match one, right? It's been a match. So round one, we saw Fujimura did walk up and he jumped. Okay. And then we saw round two, he did the V skill. Okay. So let's see what changes here. All right. Again, so you see, he had the same opening with the jumping. So this is the mind game he's in right now. So that kunai wasn't bad to get hit by because it actually hit in a way where Menat wasn't hit deep enough with the kunai to where Ibuki could like combo into anything crazy. That's why Fujimura didn't go for anything. And again, takes advantage of Justin's patience. So Fujimura sees that in those like very critical points where defensive decisions have to be made, he sees that Justin is more likely to be composed and defensive and reserved, right? Because that's just Justin's nature. That's how he plays. So he's not trying to reveal too much by showing like over exertion in any particular point of the match. So defensively, he's like, all right, I know you're going to take this throw near stun situations, and I know you're going to take it near death because you're defensive and you're patient, and I can take advantage of that. Okay? Because remember, it all comes down to like rock, paper, scissors, right? So everything has a counter. All right, so it's just a matter of figuring out how to apply the counter in whatever situation you're in, given the spacing, the advantage, or whatever is going on. Crack Fiend and Sherry, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you. All right, so let's see. All right, so Fujimura, round two, just like round two from match one, he starts with the walk-up V skill. But the difference is this time Justin walks back a little bit further, so maybe, of course, this could all be unintentional, so it could just be a mishap. But Fujimura is not expecting that, so he whiffs this from a lot further away. But even so, he's taking a fierce, and it's like, you know, it's nothing too crazy. Granted, it is Ibuki, and she has lower health, though. But because of how explosive the character is, it's like, you know. Okay. Okay, nice. Let's see, when Fujimura goes to the sky again, because he got anti-aired, what is he going to do? All right. So that empty jump, that was very interesting. So the fact that he did an empty jump after getting anti-aired means he's trying to see, like, what is Justin's, like, anticipation following that? Like, has anything changed, or is he going to continue to anti-air me, you know? See? He does it again, but this time he tried to press a button. So maybe because of the previous jump in, and he sees Justin didn't do anything, he's like, oh, okay, I can definitely press something now. And he gets hit. And you see, he goes right back to that offense. He's just like, he doesn't care because he knows once he gets in, he can make it count. Now that was really good on Justin's part because he knows that in this mix-up situation, if he doesn't block it, that he still has the stun. Like, he's going to get stunned, right, if he doesn't block. He doesn't guess right, he gets stunned. Okay, cool. But if he blocks it, he's still screwed because he's still a hit confirm away from getting stunned. Right? So he has access to the super, so he's like, you know what? I'm going to do it because I'm 98% certain, based off of how you've been attacking me on the end of a round when you threw me match one and killed me, and the past round you just KO'd me with that throw for the stun, I'm pretty sure you're going to try to be aggressive again. And he just does it. And it works out. Now, this is a very interesting situation that comes up right here. Watch what happens after the orb release. You see how Fujimura is walking and crouching? You see this, right? But after the orb release, he stays. He just stays put. And Fujimura is a lot more active than that, right? But his body language changed right there. All right, so I want you guys to watch this again. So you see he's kind of walking and crouching with him, walking and crouching with him, right? Okay. But after the orb release, he just stays still. So I think Justin sees that because Justin starts crouching, and he crouched again. He did an offensive crouch. You see, Justin wasn't really doing offensive crouches. He was crouching and walking backwards. But when he's seen that, he's seen a shift in Fujimura, and he's like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to KO you. So he releases the other orb on purpose, all right? And he uses that as an opportunity to walk up and throw him. Because there was something about that orb release that made Fujimura chill the fuck out. Okay, so round 3. Oh, so now the EX kunais are getting introduced at the opening game. So that's the first time he's done that. So you can expect this to be a very aggressive round from Fujimura. Yep. Uh-oh, time to guess. And again, it's kind of like when Mika wants to set up the the EX command grab so that she can get maximum damage on a stun situation. That's basically how Fujimura is treating this, where when Justin gets into that range, he's like, I just want to set up the throw because I'm going to take advantage of your defensive capabilities, right? Where he's just so reserved, and he can just walk up like that and throw him. Okay, so we've seen this jump kunai. Okay. You see, this is where it's really difficult for Menat because it's like, even if she lands a jab like this, you see where is it? Right here? Like, what is she going to get off of it? She doesn't have V-trigger, and what can she do? So if you pressure intelligently, like at the right ranges, it's so difficult for Menat to do anything about anything that Ibuki is doing. So the reason why this hits a lot of people is because typically when somebody jumps at you at sweep range, right, or low forward range, you're anticipating a cross-up because the nature of jump-ins, they're linear. So you know they're going to land however they land, which each character has a different jump arc, of course. But you know if you've played enough where their jump arc ends up being, right? But because she stops at the apex of her jump and does like, it's not even the apex actually. Kind of did it early. Let's see. Yeah, so he canceled into heavy kick command dash, which is like that jump. This is what gives her this. And he does the kunai release. So Justin starts walking forward, you see? See how Justin's walking forward? That means he's holding forward, expecting Ibuki to cross up, right? But nope, that doesn't happen. So that's why that's so good. Cien came up with it, I believe, like season 1. All right, start of the round. Okay, so remember round 2 of match 2 and match 1, right? So match 1 and 2, round 2, both matches. Fujimura did walk up V skill because he's trying to take advantage of Justin being very defensive, right? But the second match, in that round 2 of the second match, the V skill whiffed and he got punished with the fierce. So his adjustment was to walk up even more and really seize the space. You see? Like confidently he did that. All right? But that's because the narrative of the match, all of that led up to these moments. So you see, the way he's landing his jumps on Justin now, a lot of the times is like off of him looking for Justin to increase his activity, and then that's when he's using it to jump in. All right, because again, he doesn't really care if he blocks or not. He just wants this situation to happen. So Fujimura now, if you pay attention, he's doing a lot of walk back into jump because he's walking back into max distance of her stand fierce range. He's trying to lure her into pressing fierce or into pressing on any button. Doesn't matter. As long as he gets the jump in with blocks done, that's all he cares about. Doesn't care about anything else. Okay? So you can see he starts walking back and he jumps. See? So he's triggering in Justin's behavior the stand fierce by walking back because somewhere in Justin's brain, that body language is telling him, hey, this is this range, this is where I do fierce. Or, hey, he's grounded, he's conceding space, let me take advantage. Maybe he's in a footsie's mindset right now. But he never has a footsie's mindset. He doesn't care about that. That was really good. See, but right there, like, look at that punish. That punish was so, like, if you're not like a Sako, right, and this happens and you're not ready, Justin doesn't have the execution like a Sako does, right? So he sees this happen and he's like, oh, and he's going through and filtering in his mind punishes because he's probably never labbed this situation, to be honest. He's probably never labbed punishing EX Rider. So he is kind of perplexed. He's like, what do I do? Oh, okay, let me do jab. But by the time all of this is going in his head, he has to now decide, do I spend meter or not? Because she's not the type of character that can convert into anything crazy unless she has V-trigger or, bar involved. But Justin doesn't really have the dexterity or the execution to do V-trigger punishes off of this, He's so used to doing V-trigger off of cancels. He's not used to doing V-trigger punishes and stuff like that, right? So that's why he doesn't know what to do. He's just like jab into a reset, hopefully. But you see, this is why this V-trigger is so good. Look, he gets hit, and he still had advantage. Like, doesn't even matter because she's not going to convert it into anything meaningful unless she uses the bar. So now Fujimura gets to play a little lame because he has so much of a life lead. And he sees that Justin just wants to put the orb on top of him, right? But the chip is so insignificant. Look at how much chip damage it does. Look at the explosion, right? Look at how much that doesn't convince anybody to do anything. All right? Like, what is this? This is baby damage. So he's like, all right, I'm going to just sit back here and take advantage of the time. And eventually you're going to start to take risks, right? Right there. Why did Justin jump forward? Because now he's starting to elevate his risk because he feels like he's losing. All right? That was supposed to be a punish too. But again, he probably doesn't lab these things. He doesn't know what to do. So all he does is stand strong. When he could have supered it. All right. So, when it gets to the 10-second mark, it doesn't matter how good the player is. A lot of these guys, they're disciplined. All that stuff gets thrown out the window, and fight or flight starts to happen, especially in a crucial match point. Not a match point, but like a match-ending round, right? Where Fujimura can go up 2-1 because of this. He doesn't want to go down 2-1 against Fujimura. So he's starting to show desperation. Using bar right there, right? And jumping, like, see, when you do things like this jump in against a player that's demonstrating their mind game is jumping, your jumping game has to be immaculate. It has to be so unique that the player is just thrown off and they feel like they've never experienced anything like it before. He's just jumping at Fujimura, but not with as much, like intricacy involved, not as much flavor, like calculation. He's just kind of jumping, right? He's just like jump. Like no, Justin, you don't jump. So right here, like he's already seen Fujimura already seen that. Okay, you just jumped at me twice from like an extremely far range. I'm assuming you want to land a jump in. My mind game is jumping. I know you're gonna want to jump. All right, so you're not gonna beat me like this unless you do something very skilled, right? But that's why he was ready for the jump in. He threw a kunai and was still able to anti-air him. He had the presence of mind because he knew that no matter what I'm doing behind it, I sense that he wants a comeback off of jump. So you have to be mindful of that. All right. So you guys, what do you think Fujimura is going to do? Right? I know you guys know. I'm going to let you guys guess. What do you think Fujimura is going to do? Based off of what we talked about every round one, what do you think he's going to do? This is round one. He's up. Match point or set point, whatever, right? Set match, whatever the hell you want to call it. He wins this match, he wins. All right. So he's real comfortable. You know he's in the zone right now. And he's up a game. So he's okay with making mistakes. So what do you think he's gonna do? I know what he's gonna do. He's gonna jump. He's gotta jump. He's gonna do something big. He's gonna do a big move. Let's see. Now, depending on how fast he does it. Oh God, look at that. He did it right away. Okay, so this is going to be ultra aggressive Fujimura round. The fact he did that quickly, that means he's completely engaged. He's on the money. He is like, I am going to throw my balls to the wall and skeet, skeet, skeet all over Menat, goddammit. And that's exactly what he's doing. Because you noticed before when he was doing the jumps and stuff, he delayed, right? And delaying is a sign of being attentive, paying attention, assessing. But he was like, fuck that. I don't care about that right now. I am going to overwhelm the hell out of you because I know you're not expecting this. All right? Justin reacts, though. But you see how aggressive he is? Introducing these dashes and this pressure. Look at that. Back dash into jump in. That's like a super aggressive tactic. That's like an online thing. Look at that. He's just trying to scramble him. Oh, see, look at that. So he's doing all sorts of aggressive things, even defensively. Right there, he does the reversal 3-frame jab. Granted, it beats the jump dive kick, so that was really good, and it counter hit, so that shows you he was trying to dive kick. But he's willing to take that throw. Look at that. Look at, like, he's just committing to it now. He's just jumping. So that you could base every situation from that opening standpoint, like what happened. You could say, like, okay, Fujimura's going to do everything but reversal timing because he did that reversal dash at the start of the round. So he's probably going to do reversal jab. He's probably going to do reversal DP. He's probably going to do reversal jumps, reversal dashes. So this is something I have to be very mindful of during this round until he shows me different. And he's not really showing him different. That was ridiculous. I can't believe that comboed. Oh, it was so cheap. Okay. Uh-oh. Yep, Fujimura. Oh my goodness. Damn. That was gruesome. I'm surprised Justin tech there because he wasn't a throw away from stun. So I'm so surprised he got hit there. I think he was probably like he was just emotional at this point, like really frustrated with how he was getting mauled that first round. You see? Like we talked about earlier when Fujimura was jumping on his sweeps, this confirms it. He was trying to use sweep and to activate. See? But you see those jabs that hit, like he didn't convert it into anything because he doesn't want to waste a bar. And like, I mean, he could have done jab into V trigger cancel into strong, it's whatever. But I don't know if he didn't trust his execution at this point. But look at this, boom, punish, and that's that. Well, he didn't punish him, but he DP'd him in his mouth. So if Justin does play him again, if I were to give him advice, I would say, like, of course, like, this is not saying like, hey Justin, I'm better than you. Listen to, like, no, I'm just giving him like my perspective. The key is he has to watch Fujimura's movement at the start of the round, because it tells him how, like, the risk and the time frame of his risks that he's going to take. Because if you see him delaying a lot, then Fujimura's going to delay. He's going to walk and delay. He's going to dash and delay. Like, he's going to wait for your button pokes and then delay. Like, that's his timing. Like, he basically shows you the metronome in his head for that round at the start of the match. So if Justin were to play him again, I'd be like, hey, Justin, pay attention to what he does at the opening, because that's going to tell you not only how he plans on closing the gap, but the timing of how he's going to close the gap. Because Justin kept conceding ground a lot. And when he starts moving forward, he's moving forward because he thinks it's okay for him to press a button. And that's just making it easier for Fujimura to jump in on him, because of the whole, idea of, if I move back, you move forward to mirror the position to keep the same positioning, right? And he uses that to his advantage. I would definitely say that Justin would have to just move forward more. I think he was moving back too much, and because he was moving back too much, like, against a character like Ibuki, like, you want to be active with your pokes in ways that can stop her from jumping, right? But the issue is that he's moving back so much that his buttons are whiffing, But if he's closer, then his buttons will be on blocks, like block strings. There'll be block stun involved. And when there's block stun involved, now it's more condensed, it's more structured, it's easier to control your opponent. But when you're sitting back and just whiffing, it's so much harder to deal with things. But if you put your opponent in block stun, you can create a narrow series of options, So I think that's what he would have to work on, is moving forward more comfortably. He can still fight that defensive, like, very, lame playstyle, but just being mindful of when he is giving Fujimura the chance to make big moves like that, I think that's very important. Even, like, what he could do too? Imagine if he moves forward, another thing people forget about, especially with kunai and, like, dive kicks, is that, let's say this player, right? Actually, let me do it this way so you guys can see it this way. You see my fingers? Let's pretend this is the toes on a dive kick, right? Or a kunai, whatever you want to call it. Let's say this is Menat or whatever. If I'm far away, they're going to try to hit me at my feet, right? So if they anticipate I'm here, they're going to hit me here. So if Justin actually started doing more forward dashes, what would end up happening is when Fujimura anticipates hitting him here, he throws kunai, Justin would actually be closer, and now he's hitting him here. And when he hits him here with jump kunai, guess what? Now he can start doing fierce punishes, So that's what he'd have to do. I think he'd have to close the ground, so that way he could mess up his kunais, the advantages of the kunais. So yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Let me know what you guys think.